Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about Unfortunate Love was how Rishi decided to leave the house with Lakshmi since Neelam is not agreeing to let Lakshmi come into the house as Rishi's wife, and Malishka decided to kill herself after Rishi chose Lakshmi over everybody. So let's continue from there. Lakshmi tried to stop Rishi from talking rudely to Neelam. Rishi tells Lakshmi that she said whatever she wanted to say and says this is my last decision, that I am leaving this house with you. Grandma says, Neelam, you have done a disaster. Virendra asks Neelam to stop Rishi before it is too late, and Grandma asks Neelam to accept Lakshmi and says Lakshmi deserves to be our daughter-in-law. Virendra says to Neelam that we cannot let a mother separate from her son. Neelam goes away from there and Malishka says, Rishi, please don't leave. Neelam goes to his side and she cried. Rishi asks Grandma if he has done right by saying that he will leave the house with Lakshmi, and Grandma signals to Rishi that yes. Rishi cries and he hugs Grandma. He then hugs Virendra. He tries to touch Karishma's feet, but Karishma stops him angrily. Rishi says, Aunt, you have always supported my mom, and she asks her to continue to support her in his absence. Rishi genuinely apologized to Abe and Kiran and says, I cannot lower your pain, but please forgive me. Rishi asked Sonia to take care of their mom, and Sonia cried and asked him not to go. Rishi asks Ayush to take care of everyone and become the next Rishi after him, and says, I am leaving this house forever. Ayush hugs Rishi and cries and says, I will come with you. Rishi says, you have to take care of everyone. If you do any drama, then you will be beaten up really. Ayush and Rishi are crying, hugging each other, and Rishi comes to Neelam and holds her hand, but Neelam moves her hand away and cried. Rishi says, I am going far from you, but I cannot separate from you. Please forgive me for this. Rishi turns to Lakshmi and he holds Lakshmi's hand and he takes Lakshmi out of the house, and both Rishi and Lakshmi step out of the house while a song plays in the background. Malishka cried and says, Rishi. Neelam turns and looks at the door, and she recalls Rishi choosing Lakshmi as his love. She cries and sits down on the floor, and she cried so badly, while Karishma and Ayush tries to pacify her. Shalu and Bani comes out of the house and says that they did not want brother-in-law to leave the house for their sister's sake. Outside the house, Lakshmi asks Rishi that what have you done? Rishi says whatever had happened with you till now has happened with me today. He says you had always left the house alone many times. You always thought about my happiness, so it is my turn to save you, and says your love is saving you today. Lakshmi says to Rishi that I had given you swear not to tell anyone about your love for me, but you broke the promise. Rishi says I was helpless and I was forced to tell the truth because I thought that what is more important for you, your swear or our lives. Rishi says I know why you give me swear and why you refuse to let me confess my love for you, but now everyone knows that we love each other. Rishi says to Lakshmi that maybe you stop me from telling everyone about our love because you think that my feelings is wrong and I did not feel anything, but I really love you very much, Lakshmi. Rishi says this is true love feeling. I haven't felt it before, but I feel it with you, and I promise that I don't feel it with anyone else. Rishi says to Lakshmi that my life is with you, you are my oxygen, and you are the one keeping me alive. Ayush comes out and says Neelam auntie is broken and she is crying a lot. Rishi says mom loves me a lot. Lakshmi asks Rishi to go back inside. Rishi says I will not go inside and I will not hurt mom more and everything will be fine. Rishi says to Lakshmi that I have taken my decision and I will never go back on my word. Lakshmi pleaded with Rishi to go inside and says she cannot feel suffocated. Rishi says if I go inside, then I will make mom sad because I will return back to you again. Ayush says the situation is changed and he asks Rishi to come and talk to his mom to stop crying, but Rishi refused. Rishi says to Ayush that you know mom and I know her more than you. He asks, do you want me to use my mom's emotions? And says, I don't think that mom would accept Lakshmi ever. And he asks Ayush to go inside. Ayush asks, what will I do without you? And says, even God Sri Ram did not refuse his Lakshman to come with him, so he would also go with Rishi and Lakshmi. Rishi says to Ayush that you cannot come with us because you have to bear the responsibility of the house now, and he asks Ayush to go inside. Ayush says, I cannot live without you. I have no identity without you, and he asks Rishi to take him along. Lakshmi hugs Ayush and says you have to handle the responsibility of the house, and for that, you have to stay in the house. Lakshmi hugs Ayush and says that she will try to convince Rishi to return to the house, and Ayush cried and says, "You both are punishing me by refusing to take me along." Rishi says, "I am giving you the responsibility," and he asks Ayush to go inside. Ayush asks Lakshmi to call him whenever she needs him and says he will be there immediately, and Ayush hugs Lakshmi. Lakshmi says to Ayush that he would always be with us, and Ayush asks Rishi to take care of his sister-in-law and also asks Lakshmi to take care of his brother. Rishi asks Ayush to go to his mom and handle her and others. Ayush cried, but then he goes inside. Rishi asks Lakshmi to come and they leave. Inside, Neelam tells Karishma that Rishi left her. Malishka says that it is not Rishi's mistakes and says that cheap Lakshmi is doing all this. Grandma says, "I know you are upset, but you don't have the right to badmouth about Lakshmi." Ayush comes inside and says, "My brother said that he will not return," and everyone is shocked. Abe says Lakshmi must not have let Rishi come back. Ayush says sister-in-law was even folding her hands and asking my brother to return, but he refused and says sister-in-law said that she will send him back, so sister-in-law is not at fault. Malishka says Lakshmi is making Rishi dance on her tune, but everyone is not seeing it, and Malishka cried. Karishma says that she doesn't want to see Lakshmi's face, and Grandma says that if we have let Rishi and Lakshmi's marriage happen, then this wouldn't have happened. Kiran says you are still thinking about Lakshmi and says Malishka is also your daughter since many years. Grandma says if Rishi loved Malishka, then he wouldn't have gone with Lakshmi and he would have married Malishka, but Rishi doesn't love Malishka. Malishka shouted that Rishi loves only me since many years and says Lakshmi has trapped Rishi. Virendra asks Malishka to ask her heart if Rishi truly loves her and says Rishi would never be happy with you. Malishka says Rishi was happy with me and I would have kept him happy even after our marriage, but Lakshmi took Rishi away. Grandma says to Malishka that Lakshmi is Rishi's life and they both cannot be separated. Abe tells Virendra that if Malishka armed herself, then it would punish Rishi and everyone. Virendra says we have years-long relationship and I care for Malishka and I cannot see her sad, but Abe should not ignore the truth. Virendra says to Abe that if they force Rishi to marry Malishka, even after Rishi and Malishka's marriage, then Rishi will still not love Malishka. And what if Rishi goes to Lakshmi even after his marriage with Malishka? Then what would have happened? And everyone looks on. Virendra tells Abe and Kiran that what is the use of a loveless marriage and says if Rishi had gone to Lakshmi after his marriage with Malishka, then what would have happened? Kiran says what did Malishka said, that she wouldn't have let Rishi go away from her after the marriage, and this is what Malishka would have been able to do. Grandma asked Kiran that how will Malishka stop Rishi from going to Lakshmi when she couldn't do it since all these years that they have been together. Grandma says Malishka has accused Lakshmi of trapping Rishi, and if it is easy to trap a man, then why did Malishka not also do that and trap Rishi, just as Malishka claimed that Lakshmi did? Kiran says to Grandma that no point in talking to you because you will take Lakshmi and Rishi's side always. Neelam asks them not to argue and says my son left the house and everyone is talking about Lakshmi. Someone is defending Lakshmi and someone is accusing her, and she shouted enough. Neelam says to everyone that how will Rishi stay without me and how will I stay without my son? Grandma says we all are with you and Rishi will come back. Virendra says yes, Rishi will come back. Neelam says Rishi is my everything, my life, my pride, and my everything, and says Rishi has taken my breath with him. She says what is the use if he returns my breath when he willingly first took it away, and she angrily goes away from there. Neelam goes to her room and recalls her moment with Rishi. She looks at Rishi's baby's clothes, his toys, and his photo album of when he was a baby, and she cried badly. Rishi and Lakshmi are in the park sitting, and they see two boys arguing because their mud house has broken. Rishi goes to the boys and says we'll make the house together and it will not break again. Lakshmi recalls Rishi's love confession and she gets emotional. Rishi makes the mud house and the children get happy. The boy's mother sees the mud house and she is happy. The boy's mother asks the boys to thank brother for helping them, and Rishi says whoever keeps trying and doesn't accept defeat is a winner. The boy's mother thanks Rishi and she lives with her children. Rishi says to Lakshmi that the boys reminded him of his childhood and tells Lakshmi that his mom used to make mud house for him too. Karishma comes to Neelam's room and Neelam tells Karishma that she has kept all of Rishi's favorite things safe and says these are all of Rishi's toys of when he was a child. Rishi tells Lakshmi that mom couldn't see his happiness and she gave him a choice to choose between two people that he loved most. He says, you both are my life. One is the art and another one is the heartbeat. Neelam tells Karishma about Rishi's childhood. She says they were not as rich as this then, and Virendra used to say that she is making Rishi stubborn, but she never agreed. Neelam says to Karishma that Virendra is right and says that Rishi has become so stubborn because of her love for him, and now Rishi has left her for a girl. Rishi says to Lakshmi that his mom couldn't understand his feelings. Lakshmi says she is your mom and she will be very hurt and says we should go back. But Rishi says mom will never accept you and she cannot let me stay there with you, so we will not go back. Lakshmi asks Rishi to leave her and says your mom cannot stay without you. Neelam tells Karishma that Rishi used to say that he will become a devoted son and says now he is not my son also. Rishi tells Lakshmi that even now you are thinking about mom. He says why did mom not think that my happiness is with you and why did she refuse to accept you? Lakshmi says to Rishi that your mom feels that your happiness is with Malishka and says even I feel the same. Rishi says I love you Lakshmi and I want to marry you, and Lakshmi looks on. Grandma and Virendra tries to pacify Neelam. Neelam says how do I agree for Rishi's stubbornness because he is working towards destruction by going with Lakshmi. Rishi talks about Neelam to Lakshmi. Lakshmi says go back home. Rishi says I will not go back and says that doesn't mean that we will forget our family. He says we will walk on our path and says I want to marry you with my mom's blessings, but it seems that what is happening now was written in my destiny. Neelam reminds Grandma and Virendra of a toy and says that Rishi has become toy and Lakshmi is making him dance on her tunes. Neelam says if you want Rishi to come back here with Lakshmi, then he can come back, but I will not stay here. Virendra says we don't want this to happen and we want you and Rishi to stay together. Neelam says Lakshmi has broken my house and she has snatched my son from me, and Neelam says I will take revenge. Malishka breaks things in the room angrily. Sonal, Kiran and Abe comes there. Malishka is angry and she pushes Sonal. Abe asks Malishka to calm down. Malishka asks why didn't I die before seeing this day? Kiran says you will not give up your life, so calm down. Malishka says I will not harm myself because Rishi doesn't care if I live or die, so I will not kill myself for someone like that. Malishka says Lakshmi had taken away everything from me and I will kill Lakshmi in order to bring Rishi back to my life. She says Rishi has left Neelam auntie as well and also me too, who loved him a lot. She says I have done so much for Rishi and he has changed fully, and for this I will take Lakshmi's life. Rishi and Lakshmi get up to leave from the park. Rishi asks where should we go? He says to your auntie's house and says no, we cannot go there. He says we can go to our relative and then says no. Lakshmi asks what about your hotel? Rishi says he cannot go to the hotel because he has left from home, so he have no right at the hotel too. Lakshmi says to Rishi that they can call a broker and the broker can help them. Rishi says he knows Shanda, who is a broker, so he will call him, maybe they can get the house from him. Malishka says Lakshmi showed my value to him and says that she will show Lakshmi's values to her too and she will get back her love Rishi from Lakshmi. Malishka says that Rishi will return, but before that, Lakshmi would have to go far away from him and I will kill Lakshmi and bring Rishi back. Malishka says Lakshmi has to die and she looks angrily at the mirror. She then breaks the mirror in anger and shouted, saying Lakshmi is over and finished and I will kill her, and everyone is shocked. Okay guys, thank you so much guys for watching. So this is how Rishi and Lakshmi finally leaves the Oberoi house. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, share it, and I will see you all again in my next video. Bye guys.